character can change. If we don't grant that, then there's not much point in continuing the conversation. If our character is just fixed and whatever we're born with or raised with is just what we got and we can't do much about it, then there's no point in talking about character improvement strategies. Fortunately, character is malleable. It can change. And I'm not just pronouncing that. There's empirical evidence from psychology to back that up as well. That's good news because we can do something about whatever character we happen to have right now. Of course, it can change in multiple directions. So it's not just because it changes, it doesn't mean it's necessarily going to go in the good direction. We could also go in a vicious direction instead. So we want to be, I think, intentional in thinking about how we can shape our characters and also others as well, like my children, my friends and family, society in general, students and the like, in more positive directions. First is exemplars of virtue. These are people who may not be perfect. The few people have been perfect, but they're doing a heck of a lot better than most of us, at least in some area of their lives. So Abraham Lincoln with honesty, Harriet Tubman with courage, Confucius with wisdom, Socrates with, well, lots of things in Socrates' case, but courage would be one of the ones that comes to mind as well. They are surpassing us in that area of their life, and we can look to them as exemplary embodiments of what a virtuous person should be like. But not just look at them at a distance as if we're studying them scientifically. Look at them and come to admire them for their character. And not just admire them, again, at a distance, but admire them in such a way that we are motivated to become more like them, to elevate our character to better reflect their character. So a desire to emulate them in our lives can be formed. This is not just with respect to big names or famous exemplars from the past. In fact, it may even be better to have exemplars in our life who are closer. Friends, family members, neighbors, community leaders, who are more tangible, more relatable perhaps, and are also repeatable. We see them on a protracted basis or an extended basis in our lives. So that's one area I would look to for help in cultivating virtue. The second is having regular moral reminders in our life which keep our priorities straight. So it's so easy in my life and in others' lives to get swept up in self-interest. This is going to be really pleasurable. This looks like I can make a quick dollar here. I can cut this corner. I can get ahead this way. It would really benefit me, so I'm going to do it. And I, in the process, may not be paying attention to the moral ramifications and what's morally right and wrong. Well, moral reminders try to get our priorities back where they need to be, to call attention to what the moral stakes are and say, I really actually think this is wrong. I could cheat in this situation, and it would help me out, but it's wrong to cheat. So these moral reminders can take a variety of different forms. They could be starting your day with a special reading, religious reading, secular reading, devotional of some kind. They could be text messages or emails. They could be things on the wall. They could be honor codes. They could be business codes of ethics. They could be diaries at the end of the day, tattoos, wristbands, lots of different forms they could take. But the same idea permeates all of them. That when we see them, either consciously or subconsciously, we're reminded of our own values. Thirdly is greater self-awareness. So we've touched on this already in our previous discussion, but many people have an inflated sense of how good they are. They're not aware of some obstacles in their own psychology to becoming a better person. And by learning more about who they are, they can become aware of those obstacles and work against them. So one example we've already touched on earlier, comes back here in this context, is how likely it is we will not help in a group context. Why? Well, one leading explanation of that is fear of embarrassment. We are much more driven by fear of embarrassing ourselves than we might have realized. How does that pertain to the group context? Well, if no one else is helping, and I run out there and do something, I might look like a fool because I don't understand something about the context that everyone else is. What am I missing? I don't want to look like a fool, so I hold back too. And I restrain myself. And thereby, the emergency happens, no one helps, and someone could die in the process. Well, if I'm actually made aware of this group effect and the power of fear of embarrassment, that can not just be an interesting tidbit of knowledge, but something I can practically put to use in future contexts so that when I see myself holding back, I can say, wait a minute, this isn't for any good reason. It's because I'm afraid of embarrassing myself. Don't give in to that. Realize that there's more at stake in this situation and step up to the plate.